So we call out economic development on page 6, and we have a big, long area about it. And then we talk about finance and infrastructure, but nothing ever calls out housing. And that's really where a lot of our tax base is. And I only say that because I know we're going to be focusing some resources on continuing on ways to make our housing stock continue to be viable, whether it's the attic conversion program or it's the duplex, whatever it may be in the future. But I know we do a lot of work on trying to maintain our housing values.
Okay.
Do you have suggested
I'm just trying to find this.
where it would plug in?
I
what
think it would
language?
be maybe under economic development, maybe the next, just a bullet or something, page 6 or 7.
The second paragraph of page 9 of those specifically where you're saying.
Let me play with some language and what you're looking for.
Lee, I think perhaps a good spot to simply add a couple of words might be the last paragraph on page 7. It reads, with all these forces in play, it is important the next village manager have an acute knowledge of not direct experience in economic development, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe somewhere in there it could say, and
Housing,
housing, and
residential.
including residential.
Residential housing stock.
Yes, maintaining values.
Neighborhood preservation is another way to phrase it.
Lee does have some language on the bottom of page 2 that just, I mean, it's part of the community history and background where he talks about some of the households. It's not listed as one of the issues per se, but he talks about some of the housing and it gets into some demographic data for Shorewood.
But I do agree with Trustee Rosick that that's one of our big issues is the residential housing stock. And that's both single duplexes and apartments.
Right.
Okay.
The fact that, a lot of our housing stock now is pushing over 100 years old. We want to make sure that we have programs in place to maintain that housing stock, maintain property values.
We also have 53% rental properties in this village. Looking at, yeah.
Okay. Let me look to address that. Somewhere in here suggesting around page 7, just so that we lift that up and highlight that portion as well. I know where you're going with this, and I can look up.
And what you got is on page 6, you start challenges and opportunities, and they include, and then you have economic development, and you've got all the information there. Maybe right after that, economic development can be another bold area before finances and infrastructure. We just call it housing.
Okay.
Housing and neighborhood initiatives.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything?
Should we talk about the salary? Don't we need to talk about
That's
salary?
right. Yep.
Unless we agree with it.
I don't know, because I don't know. What is the village's next highest paid individual, and then how much does the village manager currently make?
Police chief is the next one.
At what? I'm sure I can look it up, but.
Right now, I think the mid-range of that is about 108, 110.
And what was the range for the village manager?
Right now, it's like from 98 to 120.
And he's recommending,
125 to 135.
I don't know what other communities, I did read this pretty closely, I don't know what other communities were, he lists out Oak Creek and Glendale. Those are a lot more, they have a lot more first-rate problems, I would say, you know, like, for their, at 120 to 135. So I don't know what the right number is, more on why we'd be going towards the higher end of some larger communities.
Lee, did you catch that?
I believe I heard the question was, why the suggested salary range, and are we going on the higher end of what we see in the metropolitan area?
Yeah, can you address that?
I can. As you summarized in your memo, Tyler, you know, from the information that I gave you, and when I looked at salaries, you know, from the greater Milwaukee area, you know, they landed in the average of about 122,000 or so. You also have a couple of instances of managers in the North Shore that are making above that average, that were not included in that salary survey.
Like,
You know,
like
so, you know, Bayside being, you know, one example, Mequon being another, in which, you know, those administrators are making more than 130,000 or so. It's also based on, you know, what we're seeing as and I believe I, you know, may have talked about this, you know, with all of you at another time, or at least when we talked individually. It's a very competitive marketplace out there. And when you're also hoping to draw from, say, the Chicago area, those forces, I think, make a strong case for advertising at the range that I'm suggesting. Glendale, as you saw in the memo, advertised at 120 to 135. Oak Creek, admittedly, a larger city, but they advertised at 125 to 135. So, with again, with what I'm seeing, average salaries in the greater Milwaukee area, with what's been advertised recently, with what we see advertised in a very crowded marketplace right now throughout the region as well as throughout the country. My recommendation is to pull in to advertise at that number, to get the quality candidates that you hope to attract.
Before I say too much, our village manager also had other perks that were included in his contract. There was a car payment, some sort of car allowance. There was other incentives.
There weren't many others.
Right.
There was the car, which
There was-
was pretty minimal.
Right, and I think there was a certain amount of conferences that he was allowed to, there was some other things in there, and what other things are being proposed? Which,
Yeah, other parts of the compensation package that are offered, but they're not a predominant feature, but a number of city managers, village administrators are also getting, in addition to the state-provided pension, but they're also getting deferred comp. In some instances, the municipalities are paying, somewhere in the range of 3 to 5% of gross salaries, as an additional feature of the compensation package. I don't think that's been the case in Shorewood, but that is, something that, is out there that candidates may raise. But if you've got an aggressive salary, then that request for, those additional things, may be mitigated there. So, car allowances generally, somewhere in the range of, say, 175 to 300, 350 a month or so. I don't know what the village's current package is, but that's something that you might expect, a candidate to ask. And then moving allowance. What we've been seeing is, packages somewhere in the range, and of course that's just a one-time cost, but a package somewhere in the range of $5,000 to $10,000. What we have done to be creative on that is because I've heard many of you express a desire for your next village manager to live in Shorewood. So what we've done in some cases is made the package more attractive, provided that the candidate moves into the village with a lesser amount, should the candidate decide to relocate elsewhere. So those are some of the other items that you may see coming down the pipe.
Well, so my concern then, one, I'd like to know what those other benefits are. I'm sure we'll be discussing those as we move into the negotiations. But I really believe 120 should be at the highest of the minimum rate amount, not 125. If you do Glendale is 120 to 135, most likely you're going to get someone with experience and you're going to give them the middle step. Is that true?
Can you repeat that? I didn't quite hear that question.
So what she's asking is if you have a range, is it more than likely that you'd hire them in at the middle step or the middle of the range?
So the question is, if we have a range, is it more likely that a candidate's going to ask for the top of the range?
Or the middle? Yeah, you'd start them off at the middle of the range.
We would.
Right.
What's the advantage of, by lowering the 125 to 120, what do we lose at the top is still at 135?
Well, I would just shift it all. I would say 120 to 130. And the only reason I mention that is because if we do want to give then incentives for them to move here, I mean, then you have some room to do something. If we give someone $135,000, we're strapping ourselves. I mean, granted, that'd be great. We're going to get some great qualified person, but we have no budget. I mean, we've got to consider we're small, and our biggest chunk of money goes to health benefits and salary. So I just don't want to be in the position that we offer. Someone has 10 years of experience. They're a wonderful candidate from Chicago, and we're going to offer them 130 or 135. And now, in addition, we want to give them moving costs so that they'll live here. I feel like we just don't have that room in our budget. Unless you guys, I'd like to hear if you think, we can afford that.
Let me ask this, Lee. In my career, I've hired lots of professionals at various levels, and I've never, in a solicitation for hiring, included salary, an actual number or range.
In the public sector, that's very common.
Is that, and what happens if we don't at this point? Would people not, are you saying that people want to apply for this job if the range isn't in there?
They're going to ask.
Well, that's okay.
I'm sorry, the question was, will people not apply for the job if the range is what?
If it's not reported, if we don't advertise a starting salary range.
Oh, no, you will not get the interest. Then candidates will automatically look at that, or I should say they will look at that and automatically conclude that it's a low salary range. You'll really severely hamper the recruitment.
Well, on the other hand, I don't want to, the flip side of that argument is by advertising a range, everyone jumps for the middle. I'd rather negotiate it when we have a candidate. as opposed to saying, you know, we have a range that we're working with. But if that's not the way this works in the public sector, I guess I gotta go with that.
I'm gonna offer a little compromise here.
Yeah, let me suggest though, and here's how we can blunt candidates trying to, get say at the high end of the range, if their salary history doesn't warrant it, and depending on where they sit with the experience that they bring to the table, we ask every candidate what their current salary is. And so that, we have got then, a good idea of what what we can reasonably expect to negotiate. So we ask them, what's your current salary and what's your expectation? And so, that'll give us an idea before we even bring candidates in the door, what their expectation may be, and whether or not that expectation